We are live in Studio B with your day-to-day BYU Sports play-by-play. I am Spencer Linton. This is Jarom Jordan. And here is the fabulous Kristen Kozlowski joining us from somewhere in Salt Lake City, Utah, as she prepares to be part of an analyst team for an all-women's broadcast of the Utah Jazz tonight. Kristen, that is awesome. How are you?
I'm great. Good to be with you guys. I've missed since Vegas, but been very busy getting ready for this as well.
What's been the most fun, most challenging part of all of this NBA preparation, and then knowing you got to catch a really early flight to get to Detroit and call the BYU women's basketball game?
It's a different ball game when you're studying the NBA. I mean, I've been engulfed in the women's game and obviously the men's game with the BYU men's team and doing all that. So now I'm diving into not only the Jazz, but the NBA as a whole and getting into that. And so that's been really fun and interesting, and getting to know the players of the Jazz a little bit more in depth is kind of my role. And then obviously with that flight early tomorrow, so I'm double preparing tomorrow with BYU and Villanova in that first round where they're going to match up out in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
There's a lot swimming around in that brain of yours. So it's Jazz Clippers tonight. So what are your thoughts on this game that you're going to be involved in? Because it feels like the Jazz feel more BYU than they used to because of Ryan Smith and Danny Ainge, at least to me.
Yeah, I think tonight's going to be an interesting matchup. I mean, there's still a few games left. We got about 12 games left before playoffs start. So everybody's trying to secure their spot in playoffs right now. The Jazz are in the 4th spot. The Clippers come in. They're kind of locked in at the 8th spot. Clippers obviously have 2 stars missing. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard are out. So that's always been on everybody's mind when you look at the Clippers. Are they going to return? When are they going to return? They will not play tonight. I know that for sure. And so those players will be out. Jazz also missing some key players. Donovan Mitchell will not play tonight. There's also a couple others. So that really makes it a little bit more drama. Who's going to step up? Who's going to be in a different role, different starting position? But I think for the Jazz, this is a game that they should win. They have to continue to try to secure that 4th place spot, which gives them a home court advantage in the playoffs.
Adrian Wojnarowski, you better watch out. Kristen Kozlowski may be taking over your job as an NBA analyst. It'll be a Koz bomb, not a Woj bomb. It'll be a Koz bomb. Okay, Kristen, nice. Clearly you're dialed in on this NBA game, but I kind of want to take a wide-angle view of this. What does it mean to you to be a part of this all-women's broadcast, which is getting, understandably, a lot of publicity?
Yeah, I think it's amazing to be a part of the women that are involved in this broadcast. These are women that I looked up to. You've got Natalie Williams, Jennifer Azzi, 2 players that played for the WNBA. This was when I was in high school, so back in kind of the late 90s. They were playing for the Utah Stars, 2 players that I remember watching as a girl in high school thinking, oh, I would love to do that. Oh, my gosh, I really looked up to them, right? So it's cool to be a part of it with those 2 ladies, both gold Olympic medalists, awesome players in college. And then Holly Rowe. Holly Rowe was one of the first that I ever started with at KBYU at the time, BYU TV back then. And kind of come full circle. But I think it's a lot, not only for the Jazz program to do this, it's really cool that they're doing this, and for women, it's kind of cool to see the progress that women are having in the broadcasting industry. And to be a part of that is really unique.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's fantastic. Okay, here at BYU Sports Nation, we take it not 1 game at a time, but 2 games at a time. So let's talk BYU and Villanova. BYU, according to ESPN, 11-point favorite in this one, but Villanova seems like a tough first-round draw. What are your thoughts on the matchup?
I think it's going to be a great game. 2 teams that run a motion offense. BYU runs that 4-out, 1-in with Lauren Gustin, but you're going to look at Villanova that runs a 5-out motion. A lot of players that can do things off the dribble, that can hit shots from the outside. They love to get out and run. They have the number 2 leading scorer in the nation, Maddie Segrist. So she's a 6'1", post, inside-out player, can hit it from the outside, does a lot on the offensive glass. She averages 9.5 rebounds per game. She's going to be a handful for BYU to slow down. It'll be interesting to see who they match up early on her, whether it's Tegan Graham. They may go small with Paisley Harding to start the game, just to be a little physical, and if she's out on the outside. So I think it's going to be a great game.
Kristen, what's the key to slowing down a dynamic scorer like Maddie Segrist, who averages 25.9 points a game, and she almost averages 10 rebounds too?
For BYU, they're going to throw a few different looks at her, whether it's different players like Tegan Graham. They may put Lauren Gustin on her. So when they try to take advantage maybe of Paisley Harding, if she's guarding her on that mismatch, They'll switch it up. They'll bring in a double. And so I think giving her hard looks, like making her uncomfortable, make her catch that ball where she doesn't want to, where she has to work harder to get her shots. And then they're going to really have to do a good job keeping her off the glass. She can really get some cleanup points on the offensive boards. So keep her off the glass and do a good job on the boards.
This team had an amazing regular season, and it wanted to win the WCC tournament. Of course, Gonzaga won that. Do you feel like this team has to make it to the Sweet 16 to be in the conversation for best team ever at BYU? Is that the minimum threshold?
I think in their minds it definitely is. For this BYU team, when they chant after practices, after games, when they finish their talking in the locker room, they chant Final Four. And so they want to get further than they did last year. I think that's been a focus from the start. They know that coming back this year, that was one of their biggest goals, not only to win the WCC, which they did in the regular season. They won that outright, couldn't get it done in the title game. So I think coming in with a little bit of an edge. But I think for this team mentally, and I think for Jeff Judkins to feel like this is the best team that he's had, they need to make it past not only the first, but the second round and get into that Sweet 16.
Kristen Kozlowski is with us on BYU Sports Nation. We need to revisit the BYU men's basketball team, too, because we know that you're watching the Cougars on the other side of the ball as well, and they're in the second round of the NIT. How would you describe the motivation that BYU needs to have if they indeed want to make a run to New York City?
Well, I've been a player that has played in the NCAA tournament, and I've also been a player that's played in the NIT. And I'll tell you, that first initial kind of letdown of getting into the NIT is hard. But then I think you kind of refocus and you go, look, we have a chance to continue our postseason play and to keep playing, and we need to be grateful for that. And it's hard at times, fans, because you look at it and go, oh, it's second best, you're in the NIT. But I felt like BYU responded well, even though they got down a little bit in that game on Wednesday. They responded well, and they're starting to click. And this is a team that could make a deeper run in the NIT. And I think that if they can get some of those other players to step up, those support roles to help out AB, Alex Barcelo, I think this is a team that could not only win the next game, but win again. And so to go deep in the NIT, you have to be playing well as a team. You have to be excited to play. I think that's the biggest key. Postseason in the NIT, be excited to play. Be grateful for that. Don't just give up and say, hey, we're not in the NCAA tournament, but be excited with that energy. So they have to be able to bring energy, set the pace, play their tempo game, which is fast. They want to get up the court, push that ball. And that's something that I think they'll do on Saturday.
Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. Kristen Kozlowski ready for the Jazz and to call BYU women's basketball. We're going to give you some BYU Sports Nation karma so that you have zero flight delays because, Kristen, I don't want to be calling this game alone in Ann Arbor.
That's right.
I need you there. Karma so that you have a nice, safe, and uneventful travel out to Detroit and then Ann Arbor.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, guys.
Kristen Kozlowski on BYU Sports Nation.